Car Cost Canada provides the dealer's cost, a list of rebates, plus discounted interest rates. Use the promo code MOTORMOUTH to become an expert member and get access to exclusive and powerful savings. The link is in the description below.
Welcome everyone to the 2020 Audi Q3. This is the second generation model of Audi's subcompact crossover, one of the smallest vehicles they make, but this one has actually really surprised me of how great of a product it feels on the inside and behind the wheel. This one though, that's now based upon the MQB platform that's shared with many Audi and Volkswagen models, is longer and wider than that outgoing model, comes with a lot more standard technology and new available features. And with this one that you see in front of me today, it's the top trim Technic model with the S-Line pack and the black optics pack. So we've got a lot to discuss in today's video. So I'll bring up everything that I think you need to know about this Q3. So without further ado, let's get on the road. So the Q3 is the subcompact crossover that really doesn't feel like that small inside and doesn't really feel like the sacrifice where a generation ago it felt like you were really sacrificing to get into a premium name brand for something like the Mercedes GLA or the previous Audi Q3. It felt like you were missing out on what those German brands were really trying to build. And here we have all of the modern touches that are amongst the latest generations of Audi. For example, here in this model, I have the 10.25-inch touchscreen that is very similar to the ones that you'll find in the A6, A7, Q8, and so on. Here the difference is that we only have one screen, where in those models we'd have two to interact with the climate and other settings down below. It really doesn't feel like I'm missing out. The touchscreen is just as good. The climate control buttons are faultless. Just Audi knows how to make a perfectly weighted and beautiful button. The one thing you will miss out on with this touchscreen is the haptic feedback. There just isn't an option for it anywhere in the settings, so you'll still have the same great response, but instead of having the choice of getting a little vibration, you'll just get a little audible feedback, no vibration. Do I miss it? Not really. I do like having the haptic feedback, but it doesn't feel like a necessary part of the experience for this touchscreen. Also in this Technic model, we have the 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster of Audi's virtual cockpit. Same system that we've seen for a few years now, still brilliant, love playing around with it. And this touchscreen is standard. It's only the digital instrument cluster that will shrink down to an 8.8-inch version of the virtual cockpit. That'll be smaller if you're in the entry-level model. The thing I'd like to start off with in this subcompact crossover is the amount of interior space. This is one of the things that is immediately brought up, and perhaps one of the biggest sacrifices that you'll make if you're planning to buy one of these vehicles. But I'm 6'4". I have more than enough leg room and knee room, and there's just a touch of headroom, not a lot, but as I'm sitting upright, I really have no complaints. And if I were to sit behind myself, it's not too bad back there either. Knees are a little close to the seats, but there's a good amount of foot room, and the seats can slide forwards and backwards if you want them to, and recline a little bit as well. The Q3 isn't the largest in its class, but it's certainly spacious enough. Then touching upon the trunk space, there's a good amount of space back there. You can hide the security cover underneath the false floor, or if you didn't need to hide it away, bring it down an inch or two. Material use inside of the Q3 is pretty good. With the S-Line pack that I have, you'll see that we have some deeply bolstered seats that have some thigh extension, which I love. I'm really a fan of this S-Line steering wheel, just with the perforations that we have where you would naturally grip. It's like you're holding on to a golf ball made of leather. Really nice. And another bonus, it's heated as well. There's plenty of soft plastics around the Q3. Everything on top of the dash is nice and squidgy, and here in the door cards you'll see that there's another little bit of soft plastic. The majority of the hard plastic that you will find in the cabin all comes around this center console here. Now I'm sure saying that is going to upset some people, but I have no problems with it because of just how well built it's put together. Just trying to rotate anything, put some pressure on it, nothing flexes. It's built as solid as a brick made out of granites and diamond. So I really think getting into this Q3 isn't going to feel like a miss of the Audi experience. You've got all of their great technology with their touch screen and the virtual cockpit. It's quiet in here and it feels impeccably well made. Faults towards the cabin are pretty limited. There just doesn't seem to be a lot of storage space anywhere. You don't have much beyond your cup holders and a little open section here with this sliding armrest. The door cards, they are totally hollow, so I could take this water bottle and hide it away completely. You could forget it's there. There is a mix of materials. You'll see we've got shiny black plastics, we've got this silver trim, and then a brushed metal accent right across with the Quattro label. And then this piece of plastic right above. I'm not sure what the design goal of it is. It isn't meant to be fake carbon fiber, which is a bonus, but I'm just not confident how it lays out in this interior here. With all of the mix match of different material types, I thought it would become an irritation, but it's classy. No material seems to be dominant over the other, and at night, one of the best things about driving any of these new Audis is the interior lighting. You've got tiny little strips here in this metal portion that leads into the door handle, just under the wireless phone charger, and it goes into the back seats as well. The Audi Q3 currently only has one powertrain configuration in Canada, a 2-litre turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. It has 228 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque with an 8-speed automatic transmission, and automatic stop-start is standard. There's a good character to this engine. It's pleasant to rev out, the turbo kicks in very early, and it feels like quite a sprightly thing. I enjoy driving this Q3. It isn't the most dynamic of cars though. You can change the car into a dynamic mode, but all it really does is drop the transmission down a gear, hold the revs a little longer. Doesn't really change around how this car feels. So something I've noticed with this engine when you're idling at a set of red lights is that there's a lot of vibration from the engine and the transmission coming into the cabin. I felt this because the automatic stop-start system has never engaged in my time driving it, just because it has been so cold. So the solution I came up with was taking the car out of drive and putting it into neutral. That's what appeared to solve the majority of the issues towards the noise, vibration and harshness. With such a short wheelbase, you'll notice the Q3 move around a lot on really rough pavement, but to go along with the build quality of this car, when you are driving on that piece of horrible road and the car's shaking about, nothing is rattling or squeaking in here, and there seems to be quite a lot of upward spring motion, so as soon as the car compresses, it wants to really bring itself back up. So the suspension is, I think, working overtime a little bit to keep this car steady. In town, it's quiet. On the highway, isn't as quiet as some of its competitors, but not enough to be concerned about. So there's a lot that I really like about this Audi and hasn't really presented many faults to me. On the subjective, talking about the exterior, I really like the overall shape of this car. I think it's a little busy on the front bumper where those fake air vents are, and then in the rear bumper especially so, with the incredibly aggressive fake molding for a non-existent exhaust outlet. You'll see that you'll only find it if you look underneath the bumper. So that concludes all of my thoughts with the Audi Q3, a much more interesting car than I thought it was going to be. I thought it'd be a bit tame, a bit appliance-like, not really have a lot of personality. But with how well this car works in every day-to-day circumstance and how I really truly love being inside of this car, it's quickly become one of my top picks in this segment. Personally, there's a few things I wouldn't opt for to save myself a little bit of money, but if you're going out there to shop for a premium subcompact SUV, I think this Audi Q3 is a segment leader. So that's been everything from me. Thank you so much for taking the time to watching this video, and many thanks again have to go off to Glenmore Audi that allowed me to spend the weekend with their demo vehicle. So that's been everything from me here on Motormouth. My name's Max Landi. Thanks for watching.
Car Cost Canada provides the dealer's cost, a list of rebates, plus discounted interest rates. Use the promo code MOTORMOUTH to become an expert member and get access to exclusive and powerful savings. The link is in the description below.